There's a lot of security. Now, if you want to go to the downtown, it's supposed to be just 10 minutes from here to the downtown. To pass, maybe you will pass maybe 11 or 10 stops, checkpoints, security points. They're asking for the passports, they're asking for the phones, and they're checking also our mobiles. Most of the people, they are afraid to go around Tripoli, and there is a lot of families out of Tripoli. They cannot go in.
Well, still to come on this programme, escaping the violence. There are still many foreigners stuck in Libya, scrambling to leave the troubled country. Plus,
I'm Rob Reynolds in Hollywood, where it's Oscar time again. Coming up, we'll have a look at this year's crop of Academy Award nominees.
Hello there. Well, there's still an awful lot of wet weather across Australia. Most of it at the moment does appear to be in the far north. And you can see on the satellite picture over the past 12 hours, we've seen this massive cloud here balloon over parts of the Northern Territory and also over parts of Queensland. Now, under this massive cloud, we have been seeing around 120 millimetres of rain. So clearly torrential downpours here. And the wet weather hasn't quite finished with us just yet. Still there for the northeastern parts. More wet weather as we head through the next few days, but also a little circulation developing there towards the west and still torrential downpours here. So all the way along that northern coast, it is going to be really very wet, and we are likely to see more in the way of localised flooding in the next few days. Now a bit further north, and this appears to be developing into a little area of low pressure just off the southern coast of the Philippines. Heavy downpours there, and you can see the showers from that through many southern parts of the Philippines. So clearly very, very wet here as we head through Monday and Tuesday too. Now across to India, and it's in the far south where we're just seeing one or two showers. Those are also affecting us in Sri Lanka at the moment as well. But this isn't the only place we're seeing some wet weather. Also in the north, we're seeing a bit more clouds and a few outbreaks of snow. And we're likely to see far more as we head through the day on Monday and for Tuesday as well.
It is in the details. A look. A connection. The moments that reveal the truth. Award-winning documentaries from critically acclaimed filmmakers. Witness documentaries to open your eyes. At this time on Al Jazeera.
hello again, a recap of all the latest developments taking place in Libya. The United Nations Security Council has voted unanimously to impose sanctions against Muammar Gaddafi and the people closest to him. In Libya itself, Gaddafi is continuing to lose his grip on power, even in his stronghold of Tripoli, where his police have reportedly abandoned parts of the capital. And in the third largest city in the country, Misrata, there are reports that it's now also in the hands of opposition supporters who are negotiating with Gaddafi's soldiers, trying to persuade them to switch sides. Tariq Youssef is Dean and Senior Research Fellow at the Dubai School of Government and joins us now on the set. Tariq, welcome back. I mean, for the past 3 or 4 days, we've been sitting here watching this unfold, and every day, incrementally, Gaddafi seems to lose more grip on power. Is this UN sanctions package going to be enough, the final nail in the coffin, to make the rest of his supporters desert him?
The package, in my view, reinstates Libya again, or his regime, as a pariah, rogue regime. The sanctions also imposed considerable hardship on Libya, the country, should the effects of it be felt in areas that even the now liberated parts of Libya stand to be affected by. But I would agree with the assessment that we're seeing the end game now. gradual loss of territory, loss of control, defections from within his ranks. He's barricaded now in a smaller part of Tripoli, and he has become, along with his children and many of the close confidants, persona non gratas as far as the world community is concerned. I can't see an exit from this without Gaddafi being deposed, essentially.
One of the most visible faces of this whole thing has been one of the sons, Saif, notorious in a way. He's been seen around the world. He was the most intellectual of the sons and presenting himself as the heir apparent. I would quote a quote that he made in March of last year. Libya of today is not Libya of yesterday, and Libya of tomorrow, God willing, will be even better. He was presenting himself as a reformer. He was presenting himself as the new face of this internationally acceptable Libya. And now he's swung back behind his father and is the target of these sanctions. It's quite a turnaround.
Huge turnaround. He was speaking exactly these words yesterday. He moreover indicated that his project for Libya of tomorrow was undermined by people around his father, that he ran out of time. I would caution, though, and say that many of the ideas that Saif had promoted were more widely accepted outside of Libya than they were viewed as being a credible project for reform of the system inside of Libya, especially when Saif insisted that the position of his father is beyond question. The state of the masses, as Libyans knew it, was something that had to be reformed as opposed to wholesale changed. So to find himself now, after being the face of the future of Libya, under a travel ban with his assets frozen, must be a significant blow. And
all right, we'll leave it there. Tariq Youssef, thank you.
Pleasure.
Now, one of the reasons that world leaders can be more outspoken is that their citizens have now managed to flee the country in most cases, but the evacuations have been far from easy in some cases. Dan Nolan has the details of one mission by the British military.
Relieved British oil workers arrive in Malta after being rescued from Libya in a secret military operation. 2 British Air Force C-130 Hercules planes are believed to have entered Libyan airspace without permission, landing in the desert south of Benghazi. The British government won't reveal exact locations, but media reports suggest airfields at Nafura and Amal were used to collect around 150 stranded British oil workers before flying them to safety in Malta.
There was scheduled to be 65, but in the end there was about 130 got on.
Really?
Yeah.
And
we were sitting in the aisles. It's very cramped, but we were just glad to be out of there and getting on the flights.
The British government has faced criticism for not doing enough to rescue its nationals, particularly those cut off from the port cities of Tripoli and Benghazi, where Navy ships can be used. More air missions will be required, with hundreds more British oil workers still stranded in the south.
As I said, there's still people in the desert, so I can't say too much. I can't say where I came from, etc., etc. Because the guys down there are still doing an excellent job to gather all the guys together and get them evacuated.
With most of their workers being evacuated, Libya's oil facilities are pumping just a trickle, some reduced to 10% of full capacity. Dan Nolan, Al Jazeera.
Well, as the pro-democracy supporters have been gaining control of many of the cities in eastern Libya, they've also been taking control of a number of Gaddafi's properties and finding out just what he had and how he used to live there. Jackie Rowland has been into one of them, giving us a glimpse into one of his palaces.
Every dictator has his palaces, and Muammar Gaddafi is no exception. We toured this once sumptuous residence on the outskirts of Al-Baida, now burned and looted by local people. The Libyan leader and his guests could enjoy a covered swimming pool, a sauna and a jacuzzi, all set in landscaped gardens planted with fragrant hedges. At the end of one pathway, a heavy airtight door leads down to an underground world. A rabbit warren of staircases, reinforced doors and narrow passages. The complex appears designed to withstand an attack by unconventional weapons.
So now we're getting into the nerve centre of Gaddafi's bunker. And you can see here that he's really set up to withstand a nuclear apocalypse. He's got a whole air system down here. He's got emergency generators. You can see that he's got air fans, fire alarm. If we look over here, all the different filters, water pumps, you see. He could quite possibly survive, or he could have survived down here for several months. And it's actually really interesting as well, when you look at some of these little stickers here, it's showing the maintenance that was run. You can actually see, look, the last test run on the 14th of January this year, test run okay. So this equipment was being seriously maintained and seriously kept up to date. And it would appear that it's all the work of a Swiss company called Lua. So here we've got an American company here. This is some kind of an air filter system. You see you've got all these kind of filter fabric here, this non-woven fabric that must have been to keep toxins or whatever out. And Dwyer Instruments, Michigan City, USA.
The living quarters include 2 bathrooms with flushing toilets. This concrete underworld gives a glimpse of the kind of paranoia which must exist in Gaddafi's inner circle.
And now we seem to have a kind of back exit, or an emergency exit if you like, this fixed ladder that will take us back up to the surface again.
Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera in eastern Libya.
Well, one of the themes of this entire episode has been the number of people trying to get out of Libya, fleeing the problems and the troubles, many of them going to the airports, many of them, as we just mentioned, being rescued by their governments, and many of them just heading for the nearest border. Let's go to one crossing point. Nazanin Moshiri is on the Tunisian side of the border with Libya, and she joins us now live. Naz, I understand that there's a lot of activity where you are.
Yes, I'm at AlJazeera, which is the western side of Libya, the border which is being used by many people to come out into Tunisia. Now, I have been here for days now, and what I'm seeing now is unprecedented. We are seeing thousands of people coming across this border, thousands of Egyptians, thousands of people who've been living and working in Libya who are now making their way across. And I have to say, the Tunisians seem unable to control this flow of people. There's nowhere to put them. The roads are completely blocked out of this border. There is a tent city which has been set up right by where I am right now, but just not enough tents for the thousands of people coming out.